Hey, how's it going? I'll give you guys a little view of the setup here. Just pulled into camp, unhooked the trailer. Started unloading a few things, but I'll give you a walk around and then we'll get going on our day. This is my 2500 with a camper shell on it. Keep a lot of gear in the back of there. And then the cargo trailer that I turned into a camper. So from the outside it pretty much looks like just a trailer except for the window. And then if we take a look inside, got a wood burning stove that I made out of an ammo can, and it's heat shielded on all the sides. It's a double wall stovepipe going up to another double wall stovepipe through the ceiling. And then the corrugated metal on the side is actually about 2 inches off the wall there, so it's plenty safe enough. I've ran it for 6 and 7 hours at a time and nothing gets too hot. Over here on the side is a shower with a basin that just drains out through the floor, and then you just hook up the water pump to a nozzle and have yourself a nice warm shower if you need it. We've got the sink hooked up here with a switch to control the 12-volt pump, and then underneath a couple water jugs that I use to keep fresh water in, the SureFlow pump, and an accumulator to keep plenty of pressure on everything. That way it doesn't have to kick on every time you turn it on and off. Right now it's just cold water, but I haven't gone into putting in a propane on-demand water heater yet. My camping stove fits right here on the side, so it works out well. If it's raining or something outside, I can cook in here. Got a basic roof vent that I put in with a screen on it, so that helps control the temperature a little bit as well. Got some overhead cabinets here that I made over top of a twin bed, and the twin bed is actually tall enough for me to put most of my plastic totes underneath if I need to. Right now there's a tarp and the spare trailer tire under there. Over here on the other side is a chest that I made, which holds 3 deep cycle batteries with room for a lot more gear or more batteries underneath. I've got a 3 amp charger that I plug in when I have shore power or if I'm running a generator. And then I've got a 3000 watt inverter. That thing I can use to power most things that I want. I can run my laptop on it, charge my phone and my cameras. I've got a small TV here that I actually got for free, and that's big enough to watch movies on. It's easy to do editing and photo work and stuff on that, and it actually can spin around far enough where I can open up the back doors on the trailer and have a bunch of people sitting outside if we all want to watch a movie or something like that. And it folds up pretty flat against the wall so that when I travel it's not bouncing around, it's out of the way. The window was a basic bathroom window that I got from Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever it was, and it's trimmed in. I've read a lot of people saying that the glass isn't safe for RVs because it shakes around and it might break, but I haven't had any issues with it so far. The glass is still fine, and it's not big enough that I'm worried about people breaking in through it and taking anything really, but it's big enough to let some air in. So that's my little trailer that I made. It's been a fun project so far. Everything works out pretty well. And I will walk over here to the table, show you the rest of the setup, and then we'll get going on some lunch, I think. So got a bin with most of my pots and pans and kitchen items in there. Usually end up with a bag of some other canned goods and things that don't have to be kept cold. That's my Coleman dual fuel stove. I usually just run it on gasoline because I always try and keep 4 or 5 gallons of gas in my truck whenever I'm out in the wilderness like this. Got one cooler just of ice, and the other cooler is mostly food and some drinks. For this cooler, what I do is I fill up empty 2-liter bottles and just freeze them with water in them and put them in the cooler when I'm ready to go. I think it works out quite a bit better because they don't melt and fill up with water, and they stay colder for a lot longer because it's a solid block of ice in there. So I still buy some ice for, you know, if I want to cool down a drink or something like that. I keep a bag or 2 of ice in here, but for the most part, all the perishable food that I want to keep cold, a couple 2 liters of water frozen works just as well. This is Bodhi. He's enjoying himself. He's not normally leashed up, but he's been getting kind of wild today. I didn't want him running off while I was doing other things, so just got him tied up for right now. The campground doesn't seem too busy. They just started charging again. Now it's $14 a night here in Kennedy Meadows. But I did notice that I think it was a Forest Service or whoever came up and cut a bunch of trees up. So there are piles of firewood at pretty much every site. So that's a good thing. You know, it kind of makes it feel like you're getting something for your money. There are quite a few tents over here, which is kind of strange because they look like they're all the same model of tent. And I don't see any cars, but there's at least like 10 or 12 of the same tent sitting out here. And I haven't seen any people yet, so maybe it's a school group or a church group or something out here and they all just happen to have the same equipment, but it's kind of strange. They're all grouped together in these little clusters, but no sign of any people. So I do have a bunch of firewood here. Probably end up bringing some over and having a nice little fire later on this evening. But that's about it. So I'm gonna go get things set up and we'll get some lunch going on. Back in a few. Well, I got this thing filled up now after the first minute or two that I pressurized it, it started leaking right around the one valve right here. So grabbed a wrench out of my toolbox and just tightened this up a little bit, maybe about a quarter turn or so, and I dried it all up. It's been sitting for a few minutes now and it doesn't look like it's leaking anymore. So I made sure the rest of the gas that spilled was all cleaned up. So everything should be good. I think it's still got some pressure. We'll get this thing started and see how it does. Alright, I just had to turn it around from the wind a little bit. So you can see it's still burning bright orange. Turn it up a little higher. Once this pipe that's going above the burner gets hot enough, it'll actually vaporize the gas, and then you'll just have a gas blowing through there instead of a liquid blowing through there and burning. So it looks like it's getting pretty close. We'll go ahead and turn the lighting lever down, and I might give it a little bit more pressure too. There we go. Nice proper flame. First thing I'm going to get going is hot water. Probably have some tea or some coffee, and then I'll show you what I'm going to be making. It's going to be a pretty quick, easy lunch. I'm going to do some Uncle Ben's garden vegetable rice and a can of sardines. So these are two things that once you buy them, they're good for, you know, a really long time. You can keep them in your camping gear. You can keep them in a whenever you might need it. I like to bring some fresh things with me every time I go out. I've got some vegetables, some meat, some other things that are cold right now in the cooler. I always try to use some of the things that I buy to keep around. I like to, you know, have a good different variety of food. So probably do this meal out of just things that are non-perishable, and then later on tonight I'll make a good hearty dinner with some meat and veggies and things like that. Another bag of things that I like to keep in the camping box. Got instant coffee, some spiced apple cider mix, and then some different kinds of tea, some Earl Grey, some jasmine tea, some chai, and just some regular Lipton tea. Now what I'm going to do with that, crush up this rice. I'll try and get it into a small enough little pack that I can just set the whole thing right in here like that. let that boil for a few minutes, and then we'll pull it off and set it on the side. Oh, coffee's excellent. Move this over here now. Turn this down just a little bit. And I'm going to take these, leave the lid on it halfway. Just like that. Just enough to warm up. It doesn't have to be cooked, really. Alright, I think everything's about ready. I've gone ahead and turned the stove off. Just going to gently slide this out of the way. Got my rice here. Pull that out. And I'll just put that hot water aside for later. That way, if I feel like another cup of coffee, or if I need to do some dishes, I've got hot water there already. Got these little fold-up camping bowls. These things have been great. I don't remember exactly where I got them from, but I know they still make things like this. Look at that, it's all steaming hot. Instant rice. Put a good bit of that right in there. There's a little bit left over. These sardines are nice and cooked. And there you have it. Fish and rice for lunch. It's a good bit of calories, some protein, some carbs. It's enough to get you through your day, and these things are easy to keep around. They're cheap to buy. It's quick to make. Doesn't take much work. There it is. All right, that's lunch.